As I can remember, only a limited number of students were here for the last meeting also. So rather than waiting, let's start. Hello, good afternoon to all of you. Hello, good afternoon. Operations management, we study the operation side of the business, and we are in the second topic here because in terms of the number, that's about product designing we are talking about. As I told you earlier, the important business decision that affects the overall success of the business, and particularly overall success of the operations activities, right? So here we understood what product designing is and why it is important. If you remember correct, product design decision involves in identifying the product characteristics, identifying the product details and all. Right? We just started waiting and just started. Good, you can quickly record the handout, lecture material, and that is product design topic. Fourth topic, we are in the fifth session. Only some of you were here for the last session also, right? Towards the end after the class, left early, as I can remember. That's how you should be. Right, after the break, half the class left early, as I can remember. Not you all, but there are few. So we were talking about this topic, product design, right? And it refers to specifying the characteristics, features of the product that they are going to produce. So that this is an important decision for any business. Right? So we understood what are the other steps that different businesses follow that when they specify product features, characteristics, and all. And then different practices available. Right? So I explained to you these two product design approaches, and I explained to you who involved in making such decisions, especially product designing team or product development team. It is a part of R&D, right? They are the main responsible experts in it, and they should be supported by marketing and the manufacturing team because it's a joint decision. Right? And then we understood certain concepts like sequential designing and the concurrent designing, right? Certain new practices that helps businesses to make quick decisions, better decisions, right? When it comes to product design. And then of course, we talk about these two, various different practices used by different organizations. Some organizations may use their internal resources like internal departments, R&D, or their temporary teams assigned for product designing. We call the project management teams, right? So such internal processes, internal approaches, or what has become more popular now is this approach, what we call getting the support of external product development firms, product design firms. They have their solutions that we as business organizations can get at a fee from new concepts to final products. Right? They help organizations with their expertise, with their service. Right? So that we identified the other day. Quickly go through that part and check whether you can understand it. In addition to that, we also understood different businesses in different industries may have their approaches, their way of designing products. But here we understood what is the best practice recommended for this. Right? That has several steps, especially in slide number 11, that helps us identify what are the main steps that a business should follow when developing a new product, when specifying the new products. Right? We discuss them in detail and got a technical understanding, little bit technical understanding as to how product development process should be managed by us. Quickly go through and feel free to ask some questions if certain points are not clear. Both slide of 11 and 12 talks about the same thing. So for any business, from consumer products like biscuits to ice cream to durable products like furniture items to electronic items to automobiles. Most of these product designing steps are relevant, and that is how they keep introducing new product designs and thereby be competitive in their market. Each new business is responsible for adding new products to their product portfolios. And then, of course, such product designing steps should be managed smoothly so the transition take place at the right time so that from new concepts to products introduced to the market, concept to market, right? Time and gap can be minimized and more efficiently new products can be introduced. This is what we needed to, we needed to understand, and after that, we keep discussing various different concepts, practices relevant for product designing. We talked about PLM, that's a kind of integrated software solution available for this purpose. And then, of course, concurrent product design we discussed at the beginning. Then we talked about product development approach that has become popular now. We call it QFD, quality function deployment. And there I showed you this tool, House of Quality, also known as customer requirement matrix, the kind of tool that is used to start from customer requirements and specify the product characteristics accordingly. So we discussed about it with an example. This is for an electric iron. So the completed House of Quality tool would look like this. So from that, parts deployment to process planning to operations operating requirements, right? All the steps are connected to each other in this approach called QFD, the latest approach for product designing. So as we discussed in the previous topic, quality management, designing products that are capable of fulfilling customer requirements is important. Design quality. So for that, techniques like this would be okay. And after that, we also identified certain other concepts: computer-aided designing, standardization, and then modular design. In which we quickly understood the meanings of these concepts, where to use, the purpose of using it, like. And then we also discussed the value simplification, right? Or value analysis concept or the practice that is used to improve product design. And we ended up there somewhere here aligning with the simplification or value analysis. Then it is the 2 or 3 different approaches: DFM, DFA, and together DFMA. Design for manufacture and assembly. Simple idea is designing products with the focus of manufacturing them more efficiently, assembling them more efficiently, and for that simplifying the product. There are a lot of operational advantages would be there with the product design itself. So here we attempted to identify how businesses should design their product. I can remember we stopped somewhere here. So we'll give you 2-3 minutes or maybe 5 minutes to quickly go through those concepts and the steps we discussed. If clarify some doubts, if it. Feel free to ask questions. very much practical topics. These are so that mature crowd like you, right, should be able to quickly understand it, and then if certain things are not clear, you can ask questions. I will not come behind you and assess whether you have learned the concepts, whether you are putting the right efforts to understand the thinking. You are responsible for your learning. What you need to know more. Maybe say, are there any disadvantages, pros, there is, there's a huge risk for one guy, but at the outcome, comparatively, there are many advantages. There are many advantages. If you want, let's quickly discuss that part within 2 or 3 minutes. Since we identified these different options available for a company to get develop their products, one is their internal resources, internal departments. Internal departments like dedicated R&D teams or temporary project management teams. The question is when a company using the second option, that is getting the product designing activities done from external outsourcing firms. The question is when we go for that option, is there a risk? Is there a disadvantage like leaking out the secret information, confidential information about the product details, product formula to outside parties? That risk is always there in that option, of course. And most of the time, the product idea, the technology behind it, product formula, production process, all such information will be readily available with such outside parties. They are the experts sometimes. They recommend the business. This is how the product should be. This is how the production process should be. So that risk is anyway there rather than getting things done internally. Well, in comparison, there are many advantages. Especially, can you think of few main advantages for a business when they go for external experts, firms for designing their products or services? A few main advantages that outset the disadvantages or limitations.
We may have the technology.
One main area would be the technology, right? So since that is their business, they may have invested on the latest technologies, latest equipments, tools, lab equipments and all, right? So that they are able to recommend us the best rather than we invest again on the technology, on the lab equipments and other processes and hire in the latest and hire in the most qualified people and maintaining them as staff. They have the latest knowledge, latest technology. So that could be one main advantage that we can get at a fee. We don't have to maintain the resource. We can get the service done at a fee. That is one of the main advantages. What else? The technology, the latest knowledge. Right. Some more. Hello? Time consuming, you mean to say that would be relatively low? Yeah, of course. There are main reasons for that. Mainly because that is their business. They are into it. They know their best practices. They know how to put ideas together, finalize a project within a shorter time period because they are experienced. So you are correct to say that they could give us the service as quickly as possible so that within shorter time period, we will be able to put our concept into practice. Right? So is that an advantage? Of course, yes. We can get the action up, we can get the product implemented as quickly as possible because of that arrangement. Fast concept to market. Two main advantages. What else? What else? Since they are the experts, since they have the experience, the failure rates can be significantly low because they will ensure that they will provide us the best service and they are partly responsible for the success. Right? Sometimes their payments are based on the overall success of the project, so that they are responsible for the overall success of the new product development. Otherwise, it's a huge risk, huge investment for the company to make it alone. So like there are many advantages. So although that risk is there, information leak out and the loss of trade secrets and all, firms might decide to go for it. Very good. Any other questions or doubts or clarifications? Here in Sri Lanka also, there are service providing firms, maybe government, different industries. There are technology institutes established, research institutes established. Right? The especially in Sri Lanka, agriculture sector, tea, rubber, coconut, and all, paddy. So they have research institutes that helps organizations, and then of course firms like Slim Tech and various other technology institutes providing not complete solutions but technology related solutions. But in other part of the world, just Google, you will come across the details. If you visit their websites, they nicely explain what solutions they have, what are the value-added services they have, likewise. Okay. The idea is to design your products in the most suitable manner. From operation side, that is our subject. From operation side, the idea is designing the best product, the most efficient product, so that the manufacturing and other operations decisions can be implemented smoothly. The cost, quality requirements, processing steps, volume, right? Everything that can be managed. The design should support all this. Most of all, fulfilling the customer requirements. You as accounting professionals, finance professionals, will have to contribute in making such decisions in firms, because each such new product is a new investment, new project. So you'll have to assess the financial feasibility, you have to contribute there, and that ensures your future cash flow, revenues, profitability. That is why it's in our subject, operations management, that affects all the operations decisions. For an example, from where to operate, location to capacities to technology processes to, right, almost all the other operation decisions are affected by the product. Right. If you are comfortable with it, let's quickly complete this topic. We discuss about these different product designing concepts and practices. Did I explain you this? Probably not. Hope you can understand. Now, especially in the developed part of the world, educated customers are looking for products that are less environmental harmful. That concept is called DFE, stands for Design for Environment. At the designing stage itself, they have to carefully identify how to minimize, the environmental impacts of the product and of the manufacturing processes. In one hand, there's a market demand for that product, right? So that we can expect more revenues and more profits. On the other side, as we discussed earlier, as I can when we talk about operational strategy, now businesses are also responsible only for profits. Right? You remember we understood business performance is now evaluated at least based on these three bottom lines. We call it triple bottom line, right? So profit is of course one, and the other two, people and planet, right? Society and the natural environment. So the planet perform in the sense how environmental friendly your operations are, business processes are, right? Would mainly determine based on the way you design your product. Do you agree? The components you use, materials you use, resources you consume, amount of energy that you consume during the production and when the products are consumed, right? So that finally determines the environmental impact. So the idea is designing products with most required features only, using the components and materials, maybe recycled materials or recyclable materials. And then the other concerns like design for ease of repair is also a very good, very effective concept here. What is it? Design for ease of repair, which means products are designed in such a way when there is damage, the damaged part can be replaced easily and the product can be reused. Then would it become environmental friendly? Because the product can be used for a longer time period. No need of producing new products. And then of course, wastages, discarding would be limited. So in many ways that helps preventing environmental pollution. And some other concepts like minimize packaging, because usually the packaging materials provide a kind of protection, protection benefits. And after that, they are thrown away without getting any other purpose. On the other side, packaging materials are made of often environmental, less environmental friendly materials, polythene, plastic, foam, and various other materials. So if we can minimize them, we can minimize the environmental impact. So designing products with minimum packaging, that has been the trend. Right? And other things like how to minimize the energy consumption during the production, and then design products, we call them energy efficient products, so that the customers will be able to use the product with minimum energy consumption. From AC machines to bulbs to refrigerators to vehicles. Products are designed in a way that efficient. For electronic products and all, there is this star categories, right, that indicates the energy consumption. Right? So likewise, more focus is on reducing the environmental impact of them. We call it for every product, they now calculate carbon emission of each production and thereby calculate something called carbon footprint of the product that customers consider when making the product. So design products with low carbon emission rates, carbon footprint is in line with this. So almost all the manufacturing firms are responsible. But do you think most of the Sri Lankan manufacturers are aware of it adequately? And are we practicing this? Not necessarily, but export-oriented firms and all, they are compelled to align with these international developed part of the world, US, Europe. Customers are educated, they are well aware of the environmental impacts. They try to reduce their consumption and try to purchase environmental friendly products. That is why there is a demand. Is that clear? So likewise, product design is a crucial decision that has to be decided. Yeah. As an output of product design process, there are various different outputs, especially various different documents prepared for each product. So there are many such product design documents that are used. One such document is engineering drawing, or another one would be BOM, bill of materials. Hope you are aware of it. Are you? Bill of materials list out what are the components required for a product and how many of them are required and where they are used. Right. Such detailed document is called bill of material, usually shown as product structures. Let me show you one simple example. So this is a very simple product, right? Skateboard. So BOM for a skateboard kind of simple product would look like this. Right? 1 unit of the skateboard made of 4 main components like 4 wheels, 1 board, 2 axles, and 8 screws. And these 4 wheels are made of 1 tire, 1 unit of wheel made comprised of 1 tire, 1 rim, and 4 screws like that. So it shows to get the final output how many different components in which proportion. What is the name of it? Bill of materials, BOM, presented as a product structure. So you can imagine for a complicated product, there can be different levels. Here only 2 levels, right? 1, 2, right? And for a complicated product, there can be 3, 4, 5, 6 levels. We will discuss later. Such information is required for operations decisions like produce this number of finished products, how many different components parts are required. We call it materials requirements planning. For such, this is one main document needed. And then engineering drawings would take different types, different forms. This is one type of it. So it shows all the technical dimensions of the product. Engineering drawings, dimensions, tolerances, and so on. Right. And then there can be some other documents also that are used for manufacturing purposes. Process design is part of it, especially assembly drawings and assembly charts. Slide number 38 shows you what we mean by assembly drawing. So this is an example for an assembly drawing that shows each component of the main product, where they fit in. So it is an exploded view of the product. Probably you might have seen this type of pictures in user manuals and all, right? How to fix each components together. Right? So that's the kind of document they prepare to identify where to fit which component and so on. So each new product, they will have to prepare something like this. And then assembly chart, as you can understand, shows how these different parts are combined together in the complete assembly process. So that shows how to get the product done. That is primarily used for manufacturing purposes. So such documents are prepared. Good old days, product development team, experts using their technical knowledge, they were preparing all these documents and all. Now, there are a lot of computer-aided designing options, softwares, CAD, PLM and all. So it's a matter of just specifying the product characteristics there, preparing the virtual prototypes, and then specifying what documents you need. It generates all the documents and the details. In the technology, software design softwares and all, these designing activities have become more efficient. Any questions? Hello, we are talking about product designing topic. We are almost at the end. Any questions? Okay. If you need more details, select one industry, talk to the managing director, talk to the factory managers. They will tell you how important the product designing for them. Talk to quality managers, they will tell you. Right, coming to the end of it, for services, the type of one of the main documents they prepare for each service is called service blueprint. I hope you may have heard of it. Service blueprints. That shows visually how a given service is created and delivered. So it provides guidance on how a service will be provided. So what you see here is a sample of blueprint, right? That shows from the starting point to the end how these activities are connected in one page, in one illustration. So anyone can easily understand how the service process would look like. Especially customers and the service providing staff can understand easily how the complete service process is operated. In the middle here, you see a line, right? There are also two lines, but in the middle you see a line, we call it line of visibility. What is it? Line of visibility. You know, most of the services like banks, hospitals, restaurants, both customers and the service providing staff interact in the service creation and delivery process. So in this service blueprint, using this line of visibility, it demarcates the activities that customers can engage and customers can see and what customers can't see. Above the line of visibility, we call them front office operations that customers can engage with, customers can see. Below the line of visibility, backstage or back office operations in the service that are essential to provide front office service. So in that way, we demarcate service operations in a service blueprint. You see here, this is for lending. Yeah, right. This is for lending process from loan application receipt to processing, and what type of activities are there shown in the service blueprint. This is quite useful in service operations, and thereby they standardize service. Every time they follow the same process, and thereby provide customers with the same. In addition to that, in service operations, scripts and storyboards and other techniques are also used to specify the service creation, service delivery steps. Storyboard and scripts that outline what activity should be done, who and who. For example, now you go to a normal hotel, the type of food you eat, the type of service you get may vary from time to time, place to place, day to day, right? Depending on who give you the service. Right? But if you go to a well-established operation, service facility like Pizza Hut to KFC to McDonald's, you almost get the same product, same service every time, irrespective of the branch you visit. Sometimes between countries also. How come? These service operations are well scripted. Steps are well documented. Everyone who is involved in it should follow the same, should spend the same time. That is how they standardize the service experiences and provide the same quality, same service every time to all the customers. That is it. That's a matter of service design. Service design. This is quite challenging than manufacturing. In manufacturing, you can specify the production process and everyone to follow it, and product can be produced. But services, more challenging, right? Customers should engage time to time, different service providers. So something called variability is extremely high in service operation. Variability high in service operation. To minimize the variability, techniques like these would be used. That I mean, it's a matter of service designing that has to be done. Clear? So here we attempted to identify one important business decision that affects most of the operations management decision. That is product design. We talked about the product development process and their steps and various other product development related concepts and that we can conclude the fourth topic. Quickly go through the topic. If certain points are still not clear, feel free to ask. I assure you that I will be able to answer it. Yeah. Material requisition now. MRP, material requirements planning. Okay. If I briefly explain the difference. Bill of materials. That is the document that shows what components are required for a given product. Given output, these are the different components required. Now, such information is important or useful in calculating the MRP. Because MRP is basically a software solution used to calculate different materials required to produce a given number of outputs. In calculating that, one important information they need is BOA. That information is fed to the system together with some other information. So that is used in calculating what and what components and how many of them and when they are required. That is the intent. This is an input to the MR. Since you are fine with it, no questions. Let me ask a question, a very simple one. Now, talk to your friends and write down some points. You as accounting professionals or finance professionals, your knowledge on product designing and related concepts, related processes, where you can use that knowledge. Think for a while, identify 2 points. Where can you deploy, where can you use product development related, product design related knowledge concepts in your profession as accountants, as finance professionals. Identify 2 points. Where you can use product development related understanding, knowledge in your profession. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I just want you to just think of some points and we'll share your points only. I'm not going to discuss in detail here. Don't just depend on the ChatGPT answers. I'm just thinking about your understanding, your way of understanding. You can later check with ChatGPT if you want. Right. Tell me, I'll take one point at a time so that within 3 to 5 minutes time we can get a kind of practical idea. How can you use, as accountants, as finance managers, you can use product development related understanding, knowledge Begin from here. Let me begin from here. For preparing budgets, I don't know exactly where that understanding will be useful. Can you elaborate a little detail? Each components of products, is that? No, for each new product. Okay. So when preparing budgets, especially there can be many situations where this knowledge is useful, but one situation would be one condition would be for new products and all, for each new ongoing product development activities and all. So how to allocate resources, especially financial resources. So depending on the scale of the project and which stage the product development activities are, right? So for budgeting purposes, for preparing other financial documents, allocating financial resources, you understand this can be used. Okay. One more point that can be used. When designing accounting packages, so customizing them. For product development, how that is related?
Yeah.
Right. So basic management information systems to ERP, then especially when they are implemented, or probably when they are customized to each organizational requirements, your knowledge on these product development related steps would be useful. That you think, yeah, maybe true. I'm not so aware of, I mean, I can understand there is a valid point here, but more specific, specifically, we'll have to further understand it. I appreciate it. Yeah, you have a point?
Pricing the product considering the each design phase.
Depending on the stage of the product development and its conditions and the costs and all, initially to complete the costing related task, and then of course setting prices and all, right? Your knowledge on it will be useful. Yeah. To maintain the inventory requirements, making decisions on inventories, and then inventory related decision making, inventory controls, inventory systems, and all. That's a link. To specify or to estimate research and development costs, future allocations, future investments. Right? Yes, and then of course, as finance managers, you'll have to evaluate the financial feasibility of each new project and all. Right? Financial feasibility. For that, your knowledge is very much useful. Break even points. Commercial viability and financial feasibility. Right? So for that, you can use this knowledge. Yes. But for making procurement decisions, first of all, for specifying procurement systems. So designing procurement systems and implementing them, you need such an understanding. Together with inventory management. For working capital management, yes. Cash flow allocations. They are relevant for your profession also. Especially if you are working for an audit firm or an accounting firm, right? Don't forget that you are also into product design. You will have to provide different auditing related services, accounting related services. And for that, you will have to design such services. Isn't so? As audit firms, you will have to design services. Accounting firms, you will have to design accounting services, aiming at various different market requirements out there. So for such, your knowledge on how to design products, how to design services, right? What steps to follow and all will be useful, so that you can come up with more efficient service solutions that fulfills the market requirement, the more profitable. So likewise, there is a benefit with that, let's conclude it. And let's move to topic number 5 after 5 minutes. That is location planning as I can remember. Another important operations decision. We'll start 2:15. Hello, how are you? Finally, I managed to find it. Supposed to count the head count and carry with the signatures. I don't know how can I do that. Do you have this handout with you now? Let's have a look the content we are going to cover under this topic. We may have covered something similar, but in operations management, this is one important topic that we can't avoid. So let's quickly complete that. Yes, the fifth session, right? Yeah, fifth session. So luckily we are able to start the fifth topic also. And some topics we will complete. Now you have the background, you know what we are going to discuss, but we can complete on 10 marks. Right, shall we start then? Shall we start this topic, operations, facility, location strategy, simply known as location strategy. In this topic, we will try to quickly achieve these learning outcomes, define what location planning is, and quickly identify and describe the importance of this decision for a business, and quickly identify and explain what are the main approaches available for making location decisions. There are two main that we'll discuss. Supply side approach, cost approach, or revenue side approach, demand side approach. Then, of course, how to make location decisions in a more systematic manner. So that we will identify a process that has few steps. Then what factors to consider? We call them location factors. For different businesses, different industries, different location factors are relevant. And then, of course, compared to a national level business, right? Other businesses like operating within a region or across the globe, right? When they decide upon locations, different location factors are relevant. So what they are, we will quickly identify. And then for services, are same location factors relevant, or for them there are different location factors? And then of course, what are the main location evaluation techniques, methods available? One or two such techniques we will identify, so that as middle-level managers one day, you can also refer to some of those techniques if you have to make, if you have to contribute such decisions. That is what we try to understand. Right. This is not a new area or kind of complicated area for you to understand. It's very simple. Location strategy. So facility location refers to geographically placing, geographically establishing your businesses, especially your operations facility at appropriate place. Refers to geographical positioning of an operation system at its levels. This decision is described in textbooks as facility location planning, facility location analysis. It is the process of identifying the best geographical location or locations for a production facility or service facility. As mid-level managers, you understand it's a strategically important decision for both manufacturing and service firms. So that decision should be made carefully. It's one of the most important decisions which we consider as relatively infrequent, because location decisions are not changed or once it is made, we'll have to commit to the place, we'll have to operate from there. It's a kind of infrequent decision, long-term decision. And therefore, location decisions will significantly affect on the cost. Not only variable cost, even the fixed cost. So the both fixed and the variable cost of a facility will depend, will be dependent on the location. Significant effect on fixed and variable cost of operation and also of the operations capacity. Thus, location decisions are closely tied to an organization's business strategy and also to the operations. That is why it is important to make appropriate decisions, right decisions, considering all the relevant factors. Once committed to a location, any other resource issues and cost issues cannot be changed or difficult to change. So that before making the decision, they should have evaluated those constraints and other issues, especially cost side of it, and decide upon the location. And how about this point? How about this point? Location decisions have now become global decisions in the sense. Now, increasingly becoming global in nature. There are various different trends in the market, in the business world now. One such, if we refer to few, you may have seen there are more and more multinational companies, MNCs, operating successfully across the globe now. Not limited to one region, one continent, they have expanded their operations into other regions, other continents also. So they have to find locations in these regions for their operations. So that is from global business to local. And on the other side, most of the local businesses, they are trying to expand their operations and expand their businesses into other countries. Internationalization. So they try to at least to export or locate in nearby countries and operate from there. So that they're not operating from one place, one country. They have to find locations in different countries, different regions to compete better with other businesses. So in a way, location decisions have become now global to most of the industry. Now, in the same line, most of the franchise businesses are becoming popular. So they try to have more branches, branch networks, different regions, different countries. So All these things are aligning with this idea. Locations are becoming global now. No need to mention, given the technological improvements and all, right? Virtual businesses operating in different regions. The final point here, the facility locations. Location may affect the firm's performance in general and operations performance of the firm in particular. So if you think of overall structure, revenue, profitability, and all the other business KPIs, get affected by the location. And operation side, operating cost, how efficiently they can supply, how promptly they can supply the lead time, and all the other operations KPIs also depend on the location. That is simple as that. All in all, but we need to understand, locating your operations facilities at the right place is an important strategic decision for a business. So in this topic, we try to understand how to make that decision, what factors to consider. Right. Don't misunderstand. When you mean operations facilities, we mean main buildings and premises. Write it down, right? It's there, right? Main buildings and premises and other locations used in operations, used in business. Nothing else, because facilities, one might think of facilities, there are different meanings, but here facilities means operational facilities, which means buildings, premises, and other. Okay. So what are the common facilities? What are the common premises that a business need to locate somewhere, especially for their operation? What are the main premises in buildings? Factories, yes. Yeah, factories. They are factories. Write it down. One of the main facilities, they are factories, production plants. Especially for manufacturing businesses, they are factories. Slide number 5. What are the different operations facilities, buildings, or premises that should be located at appropriate places? Number 1, they are, especially in manufacturing, they are factories, they are production plants. What else? They are warehouses. Warehouse should be located. Now, that can be of 2 types. One is their raw material warehouses, that they store their raw materials, and finished goods warehouses. Finished goods is sent to the market. Warehouse. Should be located at right places or strategically important places. Is that all? Factories and warehouses? What are the other operations facilities? Head office, yes. Head office and sometimes sales offices. Sales office, head offices. Head office and other sales offices. Regional officers, regional branch, regional officers, it's relevant. They have to locate that appropriate place. Especially when it comes to services, right? Banks, hospitals, and all, right? Their head office and their branch network, the entire network, branch network, they come under facilities. Then, of course, a manufacturing company handling their distribution part also, right? they will have to locate their, we call them DCs, distribution centers. Distribution centers and their outlets or showrooms. Sales outlets or sales showrooms. Probably those are the main thing. But in addition to that, some other services. It depends, right? It depends. Maybe for a transportation company, maybe their vehicle yards and all. So we have to place it in a way that they can coordinate the vehicles and staff in a better way. So like it depends. So you can think in the same line. Now we are going to understand how such locating decisions should be made. So particularly these few points will give you an idea what are the different location options, locations related decisions they have to make. Different options. Go through it, you will understand it. Sometimes, especially for a new factories, new facilities, they will have to look for a new location. Right? When the business is going to start for the first time. Sometimes for existing businesses, they will have to look for new places in order to expand the operation. So third option could be at new locations while retaining the existing ones, while keeping their factory at here, at this place, looking for some other shit. Shut down that one existing place and move to another. That's another option. And of course, in location decisions, this is also considered as an option. That is, do nothing, especially if no any other through a detailed location analysis. If they are unable to identify any major improvements with location changes, if a detailed analysis of potential locations fail to uncover additional benefit, they might decide to operate from the same place without changing. So that is do nothing option. So likewise, there are few situations where location decisions must be made. Right. Now, considering the situation, considering the decision, how managers can make this decision? Has been discussed in textbooks, has been discussed among managers and now, in your understanding, when it comes to deciding the places, deciding the locations and all, who usually involved in making such decisions in business? As per your experience, as per your understanding, who are usually get together and make such decisions?
Sales and operations.
Sales and operations team. That's what you have. I mean, you have experienced. Any other teams who involved in this decision, who are given the responsibility? The senior management, you can say. Yeah, maybe yeah. Senior management. Think of your business, I mean your organization, who involved in such decision. That's a good point, but do all these stakeholders get opportunity? Necessarily, it's good if we give the opportunity for them to contribute to the decision, but yeah, you should get the involvement of stakeholders, at least the key strategic stakeholders. Can understand it depends. So It depends on the scale of the business. It depends on the management styles and all. But you can understand, not necessarily the operations managers will be given the responsibility alone. Other senior managers, sometimes the managing director and the other directors will ignore the issue because it's a business decision that affects the overall business success. However, given the significant impacts on operations and supply chain experts and all will give an opportunity to come up with their observations, their suggestions and all, and the top management will make the final. That is how most of the organizations may finalize the operations. Other supply experts and all will give the option, will give the opportunity to give suggestions. Final decision will be given and approved by top management. That is how. So when making decision, location decision, we can identify these two main approaches. One is called, I mean, the first point you can hear is that, so like for any profit-oriented business, right? Yeah, the primary motive is profit. The location decision is also made based on profit concern. That is the simple truth. However, for other organizations like government organizations, charity organizations, and all, non-for-profit organizations, they try to achieve a balance between profit side or the cost, especially the cost side of it, and the level of customer service they provide, and decide upon the location. For profit-oriented businesses, mainly the profit. So, profit may be the result of two things. One is revenue, and the other side. So depending on that, we can identify these two approaches. We call it revenue approach for demand side influencers, and the other one is cost focused for supply side influencers. Some more details are given there. It's simple question. Some businesses will decide the location based on the revenue side, market, size of the market, and various other market related factors, because location is a revenue factor, major revenue factor. Depending on the location, the revenue may be, and this is mostly applicable for services, but somewhat applicable for some manufacturing firms also. The second approach, cost focus, supply side, depending on the location, operating cost may vary because location is a major cost factor also. And this is mainly relevant for manufacturing businesses, right? Mostly used. And don't misunderstand that. For services, cost factors are not relevant. No, it's not. For services also the cost aspect should be considered, but mostly they make the decision based on revenue and vice versa. Right? Now let's try to understand what are the other relevant factors. These are two main approaches. We will discuss in detail. So what are the other factors? So aligning with the revenue focus, what factors affecting location decision? Aligning with the revenue focus, because businesses make decisions based on proximity to markets. Proximity to markets. Simple idea is that how close we are to the market. What is the rationale? What is the logic behind it? Yeah, revenue focus. If we are close to the market, we can respond to the market requirements faster than any other company. That we can respond to the market changes quickly. We can fulfill the market requirements better. And the customers can easily buy products, services from us. So operating close to the market gives an advantage, especially to increase sales. That is close to market. And this is very important services. And even for some manufacturing firms, if they are following just in time kind of approach, just in time, kit, or for items that transportation cost and other expenses are very high. Sometimes very difficult to transport their products and all. So all in all, proximity to market is one common factor to consider, if that is relevant for your business. And the second main important factor in general is called proximity to supply. That is the second main point. Proximity to suppliers, which means locating your operations facilities close to suppliers and supply source. Especially if certain materials, certain supplies are very limited, only available in certain areas, geographical areas, and then getting the access is restricted and all. And then of course, the items are perishable. Materials, raw materials and all perishable. And then the transportation cost is relatively high, and sometimes the products are difficult to move here and there. So likewise, proximity to supply, and there are many other factors. So these are the two main common factors: proximity to market, proximity to both are aligning with the previous two strategies, revenue factors and the first factor. We need to discuss more in detail how revenue will be determined, how the total cost of location will be determined, and all. But prior to that, third factor, they call it proximity to competitors. That's also another concern, another factor. Proximity to competitors. Simple meaning, locating your facilities close to the competitors, and thereby try to attract some of their customers. That is known as clustering. Clustering, often driven by resources such as natural resources, information, capital, or talent that is available in that area. Yeah, all the competitors are operating together. This is relevant in both manufacturing and services. Service example for clustering. You may have seen banks, supermarkets and all, restaurants and all. They try to locate sometimes close to each other. And you see clustering. Supermarket outlets are established next to each other sometimes, right? So clustering. And then of course, let's say there are areas that are dedicated for certain products. Let's say vehicle parts, spare parts, and most such groups are available in certain areas of a town. Manchikavat area, Mugegoda, this Delkand area. Bathware, tiles and all the other items, normal area. So clustering. Location. in manufacturing years, let's say certain natural resources are available. Different type of clays, minerals are available only in certain areas, and maybe porcelain products, right? And most of the suppliers are located close by. Hotels, restaurants, because that is because of the market is available. Likewise, right? So factors affecting the location decisions are various types. Here we identify three main factors. There are many such. We'll discuss. We'll discuss such factors here under different steps, right? In this slide number 9, we try to get an idea how this location distance can be made in a systematic manner. So a kind of general process is recommended for managers to follow when making location distance. So that has 4 steps here. To make location decisions, these 4 steps are recommended. First of all, decide what are the main criteria we are going to use for evaluating location alternatives. Managers should identify whether we are going to make revenue-based decision, cost-based decision, or any other criteria. So we must be clear of it. Main criteria. The second thing is for their specific location decision, what are the relevant location factors? They call it dominant location factors, also known as key success factors. Right? So identify what are the main factors we are going to consider. They have to identify. And then develop location alternatives. Third step, right? Once they have a clear idea, your evaluation criteria, your factors, and then what are the different location alternatives considered? Are we going to select one place within a district, within a province, or within the country? Such decisions we call site alternatives. Site, particular location, particular sites are considered. What are the location alternatives? Within a country, we call it a site. So that they might consider 2, 3, 4 sites. As we understood earlier, now businesses will try to operate from different countries within a region. So that on the other side, there can be some countries geographically very large. There are different states, different large provinces. So they will have to decide states first, regions first, the provinces first, and then decide upon sites. And relatively large companies, they may try to consider regions, in the sense few countries together and decide upon countries. Multinational companies might try to compare different regions first and decide upon regions, and then come to countries and states and sites. Understand it? So accordingly, the location alternatives may vary. Understand it? So that flow is called different levels of location. Global to region to community to site. So some for site, 4 levels. Global, regions, community or country, and then site. At each level, what factors they usually consider when making business location decision may vary. That's being discussed in detail. Finally, after considering all these, how to evaluate the locations and evaluate location alternatives using some mathematical techniques or some systematic way and make the final decision. These are the 4 main steps. Is that clear? That helps us making this decision in a better. To the final step, to evaluate location alternatives, there are different techniques available. Mathematical techniques, qualitative techniques, or mixed. And these are the common techniques used for that purpose. We'll select 1 or 2 and this. So that is what we should know under this topic. Clear? To systematically decide upon locations, these steps are used. We'll provide little more details as we move forward. Any big questions? We talked about location planning. We talked about the importance of location planning decision and identified 2 main approaches, revenue and the cost. And then here we understood some steps to follow when making location decision. Right. We'll provide little more details here because that is within very short time period. So how to evaluate different location alternatives? What is this slide number? Slide number 11 gives you a list of factors that are considered as global location factors. Global location factor. It comprises of items that multinational companies compare. Each region of the world, how the attractiveness of the region can be evaluated based on some of these global location factors, they say, right? So there are many points here, especially multinational companies and all global businesses. They would consider cross-border trade regulations applicable between regions, group trade agreements, if any, to get the benefit of it. They try to look at, and many other factors. Just go through it. These are not just business specific or industry specific factors. It refers to the socio-cultural, economic, political condition of that region. And that is how they evaluate different regions. Check whether you can understand those factors. And that is how they prioritize regions. European region, Middle East, Asian or South Asian or Southeast Asian, likewise, based on some of these global location factors. Export-import regulations, duties and tariffs, economic stability and growth of the region, and more importantly, at broader level, political systems, legal systems, government regulations, and even government stability, and many other factors. Raw material availability, number of suppliers, proximity to suppliers, availability of transportation and distribution systems, and more importantly, labor cost and education in general. Now, check whether you can understand this. We call it global location factors. Clear? Now, this is one simple example. This is worldwide distribution of Volkswagen parts vehicles. So they are operating from the various different regions, not only from Europe. Some of their parts manufacturing, sub-assembly factories are located in different parts of the world, from China to South Africa to Nigeria to Brazil, and then the US, Canada. So the world network. So likewise, this is same for almost all the other global businesses. So to Nestle or Apple Corporate. They have carefully selected the regions and then countries and all. So within a region, but they when and decided a region, within a region, when there are different countries or states, different countries are evaluated based on some other specific factors. We call them regional and community location factors that may comprise of certain factors like this. These are more industry specific, business specific. Accordingly, they decide, okay, now South Asian region, within South Asia, there are few countries. So we have to locate based on some of these factors plus some other relevant factors. So raw material availability and proximity to supplies will be one main thing, especially in manufacturing. This for manufacturing and other factors. Quickly go through and check that you can understand them. Going to describe each and every point, thinking you can understand it. Are they clear? So in a way, now we as a country, Sri Lanka, having a lot of issues now until the last few years and in future also in the next 10 years, but tough times. So now they talk about making Sri Lanka an investor-friendly country and attract more FDIs and all, right? So in that case, nothing else, nothing serious required. Make the country favorable in terms of these factors, so that we can make the country an investor-friendly. I think this is how investors compare countries within regions. If they come to Asian region, of course, now you know the global supply chains. What is the trend? So what has happened so far? What has happened so far? Yeah, of course, from during the last 2 decades or so, China-based global supply chain, right, that has been evolved faster. But that will continue for another at least one and a half decades. Right? China-based. So Sri Lanka being an Asian country, right, will be able to get the access to the global supply networks and country make an investor-friendly country. That is the trend. That has been the trend. But we know now, in the last 5 to 10 years, this conflict between US and China will evolve. That's a trend. When I talk of, I have uploaded one article. Article on that. So there you will read and understand. So what has happened? there's a clear and a cold war, if they call it, between China and US. And as a result, now global supply chains looking for some other alternatives also. Instead of China-based supply, they now consider something called China plus one. Right? At least one country, but close to China, because then all the other supplies, raw materials can be easily acquired. That is how these Southeast Asian countries have been able to expand their, foreign investments, because they are looking for such funds. Vietnam, Indonesia, Indonesia, yeah. Lot of Taiwan, all the other countries, South Korea. So Sri Lanka being close to India, we should be able to get some advantage. As you correctly know, India, within next 5 to 10 years time, India will play a crucial role. So we'll have to make some more connections. If we want to expand our industrial. From operation side that we see, from the strategic side, there are many other opportunities. Understand? I hope these points are clear. Now, within the country, normally some other factors like these, this is global competitiveness index of countries. That is assessed based on different criteria by different firms. And this is I can't exactly remember who involved in this particular measurement, right? World's most competitive countries, and Denmark has been able to secure their position, right? And other countries. So that refers to the competitiveness of each country. That's the second. I remember Sri Lanka was placed somewhere around 84th place in 2020 out of 160 or so. We were at 84th place then. Now, probably we will have go further down. So that refers to how competitive each country is, how attractive each country is for the investment. Not only that, corruptions and all, fair trade and all, those indicators are also important modern business world. Corruption index. But within the country, it's all about site. So when selecting locations, site locations, more specifically operations and business specific factors will be considered. Like these: size of the site, the cost of the site, availability of transportation systems, zoning restrictions, proximity to supplies, services required, environmental impact issues, and importantly, customer density, customer demographics and all for services. And based on such, sites will be decided. Okay, that is how site decisions are made. And no need to tell from business to business, industry to industry, relevant site decisions are relevant site decisions are. For a garment factory, what factors more crucial? That is different from a cement manufacturer, and that is different from power plants. Right. For service, totally different. Hope you can understand. For services, slide number 16 gives you a list of factors which are in general relevant for services. Mainly the market-driven decision. So major determinants of sales volume and the revenue. is crucial for service location. Easy access is the main concern. Supermarkets, banks, restaurants, hospitals, salons, service centers, depending on the easy access to customers. In an article, they talk about most important location factor for service. Number one, easy access to customers. Number two, easy access to customers. And number three also, easy access to customers. That is to emphasize the importance of location to the overall success of the business. And in addition to that, now not only the volume, market size and all, but purchasing power of the customer, their income levels, their purchasing habits, right? Lifestyles, right? So all those demographic aspects are also important to consider. Give an example now. Private hospitals. 1.5 decades ago, most of those private hospitals in Sri Lanka were located in Colombo, metropolitan area. Now what has happened? It shifted to suburbs. Malabe, Talawattugoda area, Wattada, that side, right? Suburbs. And other medium scale private hospitals are popping up because of the changes in customer demographics. Supermarkets, they have expanded their branch network considering the population demographics. Customer, not only the volume, but their income patterns and all. So slide number 16 gives you further details. Let's go for a break. Almost 3:10. Shall we meet around 3:30 then? 3:30, 3:35, till 3:35, and after that we will discuss the other. This also leads to no issue. And it that communicate that to me. So right. That's why you get to give me the I will be here, right? Right, thank you for coming on time. Let's continue with the participants who are here now. And so far, for the break, we understood how to make this location decisions considering what factors. I have taken this from a textbook. For products and service facilities, location decisions can be taken considering cost focus or revenue focus. Considering the relevant factors. So cost factors may include cost related aspects and revenue side, market size, market growth, and all. Right. What have you observed? For manufacturing firms, now we discussed earlier also what are the main cost factors contributing to manufacturing firms like garment factories, cement manufacturing, porcelain products, or any other agricultural products. What are the main cost drivers? Materials, yeah. Cost of materials plus their transportation. Right? Cost of materials, that is the prices, and then of course transportation that they take into consideration as one main cost type. What else? For manufacturing firms, materials. That is one. What else? Labor. Right? There are two types of businesses. One main type is labor intensive, that they mainly depend on workforce. So the cost of labor, workforce cost is another main. In fact, that is why most of those labor intensive factories are located in this part of the world. South Asian, Southeast Asian countries, African countries, right? Because the low cost availability of low cost labor cost, right down, right? So one is materials, that is material cost, and then of course transportation cost, and then labor cost. Is that all? What are the other cost drivers?
Cost of the land.
Cost of the lands, right? Especially for factories and all that require spacious land. So the cost of the land is an important thing. If you think of agriculture related business, farming and all, right? Cultivation, the land requirement is huge. So they of course locate their farms and other agricultural sites in countries where the land cost is relatively low. Very good. Cost of the land. 2 years ago, I visited one company located, head office is located in World Trade Center. They to see that was the first time that I asked about, came across that name. They have a land pool that is equal to the land size of Singapore in Indonesia. Srilanka firm. They are into this palm oil and the palm trees businesses. So they have a land pool just equal to Singapore land size in Indonesia. And like what we see here, the states and all, they are maintaining that space there. And then the factories that they use palm oil and then produce various different products. Various different products. Available factory, tea factories and all, tea plantations requires large, spacious land. So land cost is considered. What else? Electricity, or commonly known as energy cost. Energy is one main cost driver. Just want to highlight that point because now due to the rapidly increased energy cost here in Sri Lanka, this has become less favorable investor destination. They are going to increase it again without any changes to the industrial sector. So that makes the country less favorable as an investment destination. So energy cost is huge for certain industries. Have you been to industries like porcelain products, soapy sheets, or tire manufacturing? They heavily depend on electricity. Few millions. Their monthly bill would be few millions because they heavily consume. What else? Energy cost. Cost mainly the cost side. So main cost related factors that may vary from place to place, country to country. Transportation and material cost and the transportation. So that availability of various different transportation modes, options and all. And accordingly, the cost may vary. So for an example now, where most of the cement manufacturing plants are located. In Sri Lanka, in other countries also. If we think for a while, around 65 plus, as I heard, right? 60 plus percentage of materials are imported materials they consume. So that they have located their factories close to harbor. That easily they can transport the imported materials from ships from harbor to their factory. So gold, Ambassador, that is how. And then how about coal power plant, Rorachola? They have selected the location considering the transportation facilities available. So that they can easily transport the coal transported from Africa, Australia, and Brazil, straight away to the as I have Brazil also. So whatever is crude oil. Few decades ago, they have established it. Now Sapakasthanda area, because their main ingredient is, or the main supply is crude oil. Right? So Sapakasthanda oil refinery. So likewise, considering transportation options available. What else? Cost side. Of course, special you can call it tax concessions, or maybe the land prices, relaxed land prices and all. So especially factors like zoning restrictions. Now, zoning restrictions and all to develop, to facilitate businesses and their operations facilities. There are certain areas dedicated for that. In a country like Sri Lanka, we have processing zones, export processing zones, EPZs, and then of course industrial estates and all, right? Where they have established most of the infrastructure facilities and then relaxed trade regulations and all, trade labor laws and all, and then special tax relaxations and tax reliefs and all. So considering them, locations are decided. So like cost aspect in cost terms. Right. Coming to the last part of our topic here. Now, considering those factors and alternative locations, how to select best locations, better locations. And for that, there are various different evaluation techniques used for manufacturing industries, some of these, right? And then of course, for services industries, together with them, some specific techniques are all commonly these are the techniques used. Transportation method, and there's a technique called location factor rating method, cost volume analysis, BPNO, and then crossover charts. So out of them, and there are other technical, mathematical techniques also, center of gravity method, GIS system and GIS methods and all. But for the time being, we will identify 2-3 techniques quickly. You may be familiar with some of them. This technique is called location factor rating. Just try to understand this. Location factor rating. Location factor rating. A technique that is used for evaluating alternative locations. How to use that technique? Location factor rating. Now, for each business, first of all, they need to identify a list of relevant factors, also known as critical success factors that determine success of business. Then, depending on the importance of the decision, importance of the factor, a weight should be assigned, usually a value between 0 to 1. Now, what you see here in the next slide is an example. So here you see this is basically a factory like garment factory that depends on labor mostly, right? So they have identified these factors as location factors. Labor pool and labor climate, proximity to suppliers, wage rates and other. So that is how we start for the facility. We need first identify what are the factors below. Depending on the importance, assign weights. Higher weights for most important factors. What is the most important factor out of these by looking at the weights? In this example, labor pools and labor climate that has been assigned. 3. So likewise, other factors depending on the importance. Clear? It is easier for us when we assign the weights in a way, the total of weight equals 1. So our calculations come easier. Right. Then the next step is to identify alternative locations and then subjectively score each location. So we get the support of experts, just experts, location experts, right? And ask them to score the alternative location against each factor. In a score 0 to 100, a score close to 100, that means that location is very much preferred. A score close to 0, least preferred. So by looking at here, right, in the examples, they are comparing site 1, site 2, and 3 alternative places. So these are the scores assigned. In terms of labor pool and climate, in this example, which location is most preferred? Site 1, 2, or 3? By looking at the score. Score is a value between 1 to 100. Right. So which site? Site 3. Right? Site 3, because that has been assigned 90. In terms of proximity to suppliers, which site is most preferred? Site 1. 100 out of 100, which means that is the most suitable place in terms of proximity to suppliers. Clear? So likewise, for each site, in line with each location factor, they are to assign. Who assign the scores? Location experts. Right? So the management together will discuss and assign scores depending on the input. And then, of course, as you can understand, we have to calculate the weighted score by multiplying the score weight and calculate the weighted score, and we show it. As you can see, the weighted score. Add them together, get the total weighted score, and we select the site that has scored highest weighted score. In this case, that is site number 3. What is the name of this technique? Hello? Location factor rating. Right? Location factor rating method that you can use to compare location. Have they considered only one location factor? No, many factors. And have they evaluated only 1 or 2, 3, or probably 5, 10? Right? But to make it more practical, around 5 alternative locations would be better. You can shortlist only the most suitable location and then evaluate. Within 5 minutes, can you do this exercise? Now, this is a manufacturing facility. Let's consider a service example, like a supermarket. If you are given the responsibility to recommend a site within the district, right? A site for a supermarket, first of all, identify, let's say, 5 or 6 key location factors to consider, and just assign weights depending on the importance. You can talk to your friends also. Location factors for a supermarket outlet, Sri Lanka. That is a service example. Talk to your friends quickly identify 5, 6 location factors for that decision. In your opinion, what are the main factors to consider? Let's, I mean, at least 1 point from each pair or each group, so that we can quickly have 3 more. You think proximity to customers, right? Or availability of customers is should be one main thing. Proximity to customers. So in other words, easy access to customers. Convenience access. Availability of customers. Okay. What else? Like what? Okay, be specific. Right? In this case, be specific. What are the other facilities you need? Availability of transport, other infrastructure facilities you need, right? So somewhere down the line, you will have to consider that one also. Public transportation, banking, and other required services and all, right? Mainly those two, right? Somewhere down the line. Import, we don't say no, but there are other points that there can be other factors included. Let's at that one also.
Cost to rent of the land.
Okay. Land cost or the rent, that may vary from place to place, right? So cost of the land or cost of the location should also be considered. Although that's a service business, we should consider that one also. Right? The rent of the place, the cost of the location. What else?
Competitive behavior.
Competitive behavior. What do you prefer when it comes to business like supermarkets, supermarket outlets? Do you want to locate close to the competitors or away from competitors? That is a choice. That's a decision to make, right? Of course, competitive behavior or competition should be considered, but when you consider it as a point, how you change it?
Supermarket.
Okay.
Location.
Okay.
Like he's selling the highest market share.
Okay.
Location.
Yeah.
It's not better to
Locate close to the competitors.
Yes.
Right. So you mean to say if it is it depends. Yes, it depends whether you are a large scale supermarket network or a medium scale new supermarket that you're going to establish. So in such a case, large scale outlets try to be close to the competitors, whereas small to medium scale ones, they try to cater special market segments, so that be away from the competitors would be a good idea. So if it is a small to medium scale supermarket outlet, This idea is to be away from competitors so that you can attract some amount of customers in that area, away from or the level of competition. Level of competition. Or the competitor pressure, something like that. One point from year 3. Parking space, is that important? Yeah, of course. Space availability, let's say, space availability, including parking facilities, because usually supermarket, usual customers patronizing the supermarkets are medium or middle level income money families. They use their personal vehicles. More than public transportation, they use their personal vehicles. So enough space should be there. Space for the outlet and space for the parking facility. Space. Good question. Is that all? Labor, would that be changed from place to place? Well, more than the labor cost, availability of workers, kind of, because from place to place, I mean, whether they come, whether they like to come to work and all, that may vary, right? So availability of talented or skilled labor, that could be a factor to consider. And if you think, yes, maybe labor cost. So is that all? Well, other factors like we call it the customer droving area, the size of the customer droving area. And there are other demographic like their income levels, purchasing habits, right? That should be seriously considered. Purchasing habits of the purchasing power of the customers living in that area. Factors in that. So hope you can understand. This example for manufacturing example. Now what we identified was for a service outlet. Thereby, I hope the next steps are clear, other steps are clear. So you assign weights, then select what are the new locations and evaluate. Make final decision. This is one technique. Any questions? One day, again, kind of bit matured principal in his class asked, he was asking why we should, why we are supposed to use a technique like this. Like, can't we just recommend the place to the top management? I was telling, no, we have to justify our decision. Why we select this location against other places? Why we make this decision? We have to justify. Then he was asking, can't we just make the decision and justify it? Right? Decide what should be the final place and accordingly adjust these figures and then convince the top management, okay, this should be the place. I was just asking. So that can happen anyway. But the idea here is to objectively select evaluation criteria and evaluate location and arrive at data decision. There are many other techniques. We will quickly identify this technique also. Although the name is cost volume analysis, this is not so break-even point or it is break-even analysis. More than break-even, you know the break-even point, right? Contribution and the fixed cost, right? And thereby calculating the break-even point. So that is a technique for different locations. Different break-even points are relevant so that they can decide. Now, more than the break-even technique here, this is described as crossover charts. Right? in these calculations, both fixed and the variable cost of each location is used. As you can see here, these are 4 steps to use this technique. First of all, for each alternative location, determine the fixed and the variable cost. We'll have to estimate if we are to use this technique. Say for an example, we are given one example. 4 alternative locations are considered. This is an example. Fixed and the variable costs are given. Even in case of exam questions, that will be given. But if you are to practically use this technique, you will have to estimate, which is difficult. Accurately estimating fixed cost, variable cost of each location would be difficult. Only if we have such information, we can use this technique. Second step, we have to calculate the total cost of each location and plot those costs on one graph. You will understand it in this example. Step number 3, identify the ranges of output for which each location has the lowest total cost. And accordingly, solve the example algebraically by looking at the graph for break-even points, not break-even point, but crossover charts. So, for example, identify what is given here. This is a laundry, clean clothes, cleaners. Very simple hypothetical example. They are considering 4 possible alternative sites for their new operation. It further says they expect to clean 10,000 garments, and the table below here provides cost details, fixed and the variable cost. If you have to solve this, I recommend them out of these 4 places, which location is better by following these steps. How can you do that? First of all, we need to calculate the total cost for each location. How to do that? Now, assuming that we are going to operate at 10,000 units level, we can calculate the total cost of each location, right? Assuming 10,000 level, so that total cost for each location can be calculated. And plot the total cost on one graph, and then draw total cost curve for each location. Understood it? That is how. Now, one might ask, to draw a line, total cost curve, we at least need 2 points to connect to draw a line. But we have only one point, that is at 10,000 level. How can we draw a line, total cost curve?
We're looking at the quantities for the.
Yeah, we are looking at the quantities, right? Either we can just assume another quantity and then calculate total cost, right? Otherwise, we can assume at the quantity 0, what is the total cost? That's the fixed cost, and draw that line for each location. And accordingly, these are the cost curves. Location A cost curve, and this is D, and this is B, and this is C. Algebraically, by looking at it, we identify for different quantity levels which location would be result in low cost. Right. So, for an example, say from 0 to up to this point, 4,667 units. Cost curve of which location gives us the lowest total cost? That is C. Right. So we prefer, and we select location C between that range 0 to 4,600, that amount. And between that and then up to here, that is 9,000 units. It is the cost curve of location B that is lowest. And beyond that point, A. So by looking at it, crossover chance. By looking at it, we identify which location would be best. Not necessarily B, this is so. It's called crossover chance. Now, in the question, it is given that they are going to operate at 10,000 units. So, which location you recommend them? They are going to operate at 10,000 units. B, C, or A. D is anyway not selected, right? So, from 10,000 units, 10,000 units, location A should be recommended because at 10,000, right, that is beyond 9,000, right? A is best, right? So, very simple technique. Use as an idea. Yes, this is another technique. In addition to that, there are other location selection techniques, especially transportation method. Transportation techniques. And center of gravity methods and all. There are various different techniques. Here also I introduced you. These are the common techniques. NPV for different locations. NPV values can be calculated and selected. Decision tree is another technique. Transportation method. Load distance model. Right, that we are not going to discuss it. But those techniques are used for this. Anything you want to ask? Yeah. We discussed only two techniques, namely location factor rating method, crossover charts. In addition to that, there are other techniques. What you need to know. Is that all right? Hello? You have a doubt? Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah. Right. Then let's come to the end of this topic. Now, although we consider location as a kind of long-term decision that we don't change often, due to certain reasons, businesses will have to change their locations of their facilities. Here you get a list of reasons why businesses will have to change their location. Can you understand? Now, when a business needs to expand their capacity, if the existing place is not enough, they have to change the location. That happens with most of the small scale business factories. They start small, when they want to expand, not enough space there, so they have to change. So that is a location change. Sometimes very critical. At the earlier place, although that the space is very limited, they were operating really well. New space and new place, space is there, but business may not be successful as locations are critical. Changes in resources. Changes in resources may contribute to location changes. What materials they use, from where they buy them. Depending on that, locations must be changed. And changes of geography of demand of the market. Earlier, assume that a small scale factory catering to a particular region with particular district. Now they have expanded their operations. They want to in Sri Lanka, let's say, they want to supply to the entire market. So good to operate close to the commercial hub, Colombo, so that they can easily transport. Of course, when they try to introduce new products, new facilities may require, new operating conditions are applicable, new resources are needed, so they will have changed location. Not only that, even changes of different political and economic conditions would also result in location change, like civil war, new rules and regulations, and natural disasters, tsunami, flood, earthquakes, right? Various different things may result in location change. And in addition to that, there can be other reasons also. Can you guess one or two reasons? Based on your experience, businesses have to change their locations, locations of their operations facility. Some other reasons. These are what type of reasons? New rules and regulations sometimes. No? New environmental rules and regulations, zoning restrictions would impact them. Okay. Hello, haven't you seen any other business change in their location? Due to competition, then they have to change. Sometimes yes, sometimes yes. Due to competition. Likewise, just think. Maybe due to the pressure from various different stakeholder groups like neighborhood, civilians. What happened to a deep product factory at Ratchapasa a few years ago? They had to change the location. Like such reasons would contribute to location change. Right. What we discuss here in this topic, location planning or location strategy, that talks about where to locate the operations facility, like factories to showrooms to distribution centers, which is a relatively long-term decision, strategically important decision. Here we understood what factors to consider and how to make decisions. There are two main approaches: cost aspect, mainly applicable for manufacturing firms, and the revenue aspects, mainly applicable for service firms. And yeah, they are used interchangeably. Actually, say for an example, now one typical example is now garments factories. That's a manufacturing industry. So they are located in countries where they can get the operations done at low cost. It means to brandings to high harmony. They operate from this part of the world, and there are others in other neighboring countries also. But few years ago, MAs started one of their factories in US. That is to operate close to the market, because they get some orders that should be completed and delivered fast. And to cater that special market requirement, they had decided to operate close to the market. Although the cost is relatively high, they decided to open that factory to operate close to the market. And so, close to the market, important for manufacturing firms also. Understood it? We understood some other techniques. Now, can you think of one or two places, probably one business, right? That you think they have made the location decision appropriately? Think of some of your experience, their factory, their showroom, or their outlets located at one particular site. That's a very good decision because they can operate from there. Lot of advantage. Think of a place and tell us successful location that you know. For us to have some examples.
Soil factory.
Soil factory that Mahaleva at a month ago. You can, I mean, can we consider it as a good selection? Yeah, of course, there are many reasons that we can justify the selection. Few points for Levi. Main material required, that is seawater, can be easily accessible when the Levi is close to the sea. But it's with a condition required for that operation, right? Evaporation, right? That the manufacturing or the kind of conversion process that happens, and for that sunlight and continuous without any rain interruptions, so that location is perfectly matching with the processing requirements, with the conditions and space availability, geographical characteristics, perfectly matching with the required. That's it, yes, that's a good selection in a way. What else? Hello? Lanka to porcelain. Any reasons why you think? Yeah, main ingredients, clay and certain minerals that are readily available in that area, Lanka, and the name itself gives and reflects the quality of the clay, special type of clays and other minerals, right? They use for that. High quality. And that, in a way, not only the manufacturing technology and the designs and all, even the ingredient itself contribute to the quality of their porcelain products. Especially close to the raw material source. And then one is there in Mathare also, that is Norikate porcelain, because Mathare is also known for such materials, clay types, special quality. Mining, the clay sources are only available in certain areas. So close to that, they have established. Any service example? Both of them are products for manufacturing sites. Hotels, particularly one or two examples that you think.
Candy area.
Most of these tourist hotels located in tourist attractions, close to cultural triangle, Andalama, Kandy, Anuradhapura, that area, right? So good location because now all of them are suffering because of the arrival of tourists, but these were better places. And then other places like with special or beautiful sceneries and all, and then to the seaside, the location is a key for tourist hotels. So that gives customers, their tourists, a unique experience. Kandaram is a unique place. And likewise, many other places. Seaside. Recently, I observed policy in sea, right? They have established one distribution yard close to the entrance of Kadavatta highway. Have you noticed that? For a moment, I felt like, wow, that's a wonderful selection. Next to the cutover entrance, they have this yard they use as a distribution center, it seems. Due to many reasons, that is good because the factory they operated from goal, right? So that they can, hello, right? They can that is close to Colombo, and that we connect to the other part of the country as well, central, north, central provinces and all, and northern province. So, that's a good location. So now, whenever you see, just try to evaluate whether this is a good location for their operation or not. Right. With that, let's conclude it. Let's have a break, small break, or conclude the session. At 4:30. Right. Let's meet next week. But we're going to read that article. Right. That will give you a little more understanding about how in the global setup location changes, location decisions would be important. Hope to see you next week. Take care.